What causes the breakdowns that produce devastating loss of ROI? 3 points of breakdown in the learning cycle that typically occur every day in your company result in a catastrophic loss of ROI, by which I also mean a disastrous loss in terms of return on effort, return on time, and yes, return on learning.
Welcome to Create New Futures. Thought-provoking conversations with leaders, experts, and interesting minds. Join us as we explore ideas and reflect on practices that you can use and apply to create and shape the future. With your host, author, and strategy consultant, Aviv Shahar.
How to stop losing billions of dollars to collective stupidity. This is Aviv with a new episode of Create New Futures. And in this one, we focus on 3 points of breakdown and on how to stop the collective stupidity that cost companies billions of dollars. In an earlier episode titled How to Accelerate Personal Growth and Organizational Transformation, I outlined the 4 stages of adult learning. This is an idea and a framework I discuss in my strategy and innovation workshops with senior teams. My premise is based on the distinction between the toddler's learning experience and the anatomy of adult learning. To this day, I vividly remember our son, at ages 3 and 4, standing and staring at the world around him. Putting my ear close to his head, I felt I could almost hear the 3D printing going on inside his head. At that age, enjoying near 100% brain plasticity, he was fully absorbed by the immersive experience of the world around him as it was being converted into a topography of meaning and fashioned into a neural network of connections. The toddler's capacity for exponential learning is one of the greatest miracles on earth. Adult learning, on the other hand, occurs differently. Contrary to what we believed when I was growing up, adults can grow new neural networks, specifically in the zones we apply. Still, the miraculous growth and pliability of the toddler's years fade, and the learning process changes as a result. Because the adult brain no longer enjoys total 100% brain plasticity, instead of immersive learning that enables the brain to be molded in a 3D printing-like experience, adults must rely on situational and contextual learning that builds on their existing network of knowledge and experience. We learn by what we focus on and what's important to us, and by the contextual relevance of what we are trying to solve and address. The 4 stages of adult learning explain this process. Stage 1, receive. You take in new information. Stage 2, understand. You internalize the information and validate its implication. Stage 3, apply. You run water through the pipes to use the learning in specific situations. And stage 4, teach and take ownership. You model the new learning for others and in the process, take responsibility for the continuation of the learning cycle. How should you practice these 4 stages? To facilitate organizational transformation and to help your team members accelerate their personal and collective learning and growth, you must design experiences that guide them through all 4 of these stages and in the correct order. Here is what the process may look like. First, introduce mission-critical information and insights about a desired future state of the business. Identify strategies and behaviors critical for success. Second, enable team members to internalize and validate the information by discussing the personal implications of the insights and the strategies. Third, enable team members to move from internalizing the insights to applying them by addressing a series of concrete opportunities and challenges that engage them in solving to the desired future. Fourth, release team members to co-create, teach, and co-own the desired outcomes by asking them to deploy the agreed solutions and implement the approaches they've developed and practiced. This four-stage process facilitates a robust and emergent learning application by enabling teams to test new skills and to practice and coach each other in new behaviors. What causes the breakdowns that produce devastating loss of ROI? 3 points of breakdown in the learning cycle that typically occur every day in your company result in a catastrophic loss of ROI, by which I also mean a disastrous loss in terms of return on effort, return on time, and yes, return on learning. I have observed these breakdowns even in the most admired companies in the world. The impact is catastrophic for the growth of the organization and its ability to serve its purpose. By creating collective stupidity instead of producing collective wisdom, teams produce spectacular organizational failures that lead to strategic fiascos. Here is why these failures occur and what you can do to avoid them. The first breakdown in the learning process occurs when learning is aborted before it is applied. The learning insight dies at the point of intellectual stimulation, stage 1, or the insight is abandoned even after it is validated and internalized, stage 2, because of a lack of urgency and the failure to apply the insight. Stopping short of stage 3 of the learning process, that is the application stage, is the first major learning breakdown. We've all seen highly capable managers come out of a rich learning experience only to be overwhelmed by the tyranny of the urgent, getting sucked back into the weight of crisis, of routine, and the 544 unread emails. To avoid this breakdown, I have instituted the 72-hour rule in all of our sessions. I have discussed this rule on other episodes, the essence of which is that you must move to enter stage 3, the stage of application, with 1 or 2 or 3 critical ideas and learnings and strategies, or else you lose the protein value of the new learning, wherein, as I suggest, the learning cycle gets aborted. The second breakdown in the learning process occurs when teams rush from new insights to instant deployment, skipping a critical validation point, omitting the corroborative alignment of stage 2 by moving hastily from stage 1 directly to stage 3 tends to produce ill-fitting and faulty applications because the learning cycle gets broken. As a result, the insights and the strategic solutions are only partly understood and they are translated differently by team members. We've all seen teams excited about a new idea rush to formulate a strategy only to discover during implementation that they are executing and operationalizing on divergent paths. Had they taken the time to validate that they have a shared picture of the future and the outcomes they hope to create, they could have achieved the desired result already. The third breakdown in the learning process occurs at the application stage, that's stage 3. Although pockets of excellence may develop, teams fail to take full ownership and catalyze the enterprise-wide embrace of the focusing insights and practices. By settling for limited application and failing to catalyze an end-to-end committed practice and accountability, individuals and their organizations miss the fullest potential of their growth. The best companies in the world strive to convert meaningful breakthroughs and innovative ways of doing business into the norm of the company. Yet every day, we see that even their teams sometimes fall short during the application stage. Failing to build a company-wide culture of learning application and ownership leaves breakthrough practices as incomplete developments that marginally affect a limited part of the organization. The bottom line, in terms of missed opportunities and people's curtailed and stifled growth, the cost of the cumulative losses of learning application due to these three failure points can be measured in many billions of dollars. Now it's your turn. Turn the key. How will you proactively prevent the catastrophic loss of ROI resulting from the breakdowns in the learning process? How will you apply the 4 stages of learning to enable breakthrough growth today? Teach and coach your teams to recognize the 3 points of learning failure. Be present to learning opportunities and realize their transformative potential by building momentum and discipline that leads to a purposeful sense of ownership.
Thank you for listening. Aviv always encourages his clients to identify the 1 or 2 ideas they can move forward into action immediately. What will you capture and apply today? You can always begin with a small action and then build momentum over time. When you move forward from an idea to action, you get immediate ROI, return on the time you invested, and return of learning. And then the learning cycle builds the success propulsion. One more thing. You can reach Aviv directly by phone and email to discover how he can help you create a new future for your business and organization. Creating your new future can begin today.